This movie is extraordinarily dense, and so I won't be able, unfortunately, to unpack all the symbolism contained in it. I'll try to be concise and keep to analyzing only the most profound motifs encountered. To interpret the meaning of the narrative and the cinematography, I will rely heavily on frameworks of reference explained to me by Jordan Peterson and Jonathan Pageau, as well as some others. The movie is thoroughly drained with religious symbolism, primarily that of Celtic Christianity, and is in fact a play on the obscure origin story of the real Book of Kells, an insular illuminated manuscript produced in Ireland circa the 8th century, which is in exceptional condition considering its great age. So I think the main themes of the story are logos, hope, and enlightenment. The idea of logos is a very complicated Christian idea that has to do with the perception or intuition that every human being has in them a divine spark, a divine logos, which he or she can use to participate in the creation of the world as initiated by God. God supposedly used this word logos to conjure up habitable order out of primordial chaos and begin being. He instantiated furthermore in man a seed of this divine ability, the ability to use language to generate and preserve novelty, to realize potential, or to make the word flesh by himself. You might say the logos and consciousness are closely related. In the movie, it seems to me the book and the eye are the primary symbols used to represent logos. In Celtic Christianity, to pursue that untamable thing that is the Holy Spirit is likened to a wild goose chase. Our hero Brendan is on one of those at the beginning of the movie, in questing to gain pens to use for the art of the monks, that of illumination. In pursuit of the goose, Brendan has to bravely climb a big unsteady scaffolding, only to fall back down. He lands, unharmed, right at a secret passage in the unfinished wall around Kells, the head center of the story. Upon hearing the echo of a bird's cry, he goes quickly to take a glance through the luminous aperture to see a glimpse of the mystery that lies outside, nature. This is where the theme of hope comes in. It seems to me that in the movie hope is symbolized mainly by apertures where light shines through and illumines a dark space, like the pupil of an eye. I think the makers were trying to show that however dark things may seem, however hopeless, as long as there is life, a light can be found or a candle kindled. Excess of hope can be distracting and blinding, and might even open the door to adversity, but hope nonetheless is essential to humanity. Humanity and its cultures is always threatened by lurking dark forces, both from the periphery as from its own center. Always. Chaos and order, nature and culture, unknown and known, these are fundamental dynamic categories of experience, or integral patterns of being, that is, archetypes. The question that reality poses then is how to deal with these eternal truths. That is not how to deal with a problem, but rather how to deal with any problem. Chaos can emerge at any moment and pull you under. Better to voluntarily face it directly than to get overwhelmed by it and risk drowning. Doing this maximizes your odds of actualizing habitable order out of it and moreover learn something new and valuable in the process. Strategy is indispensable in individuation. For millions of years, we humans as primates have evolved alongside snakes, putting constant evolutionary pressure on each other. It is postulated that this coevolution was a primary factor in developing the spectacular vision humans have. We also have extraordinary capacity for mental vision. I learned from Jordan Peterson that Jung said, if I'm not mistaken, that the first step on the way to enlightenment requires staring the things you are most afraid of right in the face. That you will find the things you most want or need to find where you least want to look. At the root of suffering, healing can be found. The hero has always been the one who boldly confronts what others don't want to confront, and out of the disorganized potential of the unknown organizes something useful and possibly fruitful. The brain circuits we use today in the face of chaos, however abstract that may be, are still the same circuits we've been using for millions of years. The hero becomes a mediator between the center and the periphery, between order and chaos, between father culture and Mother Nature. He does many things like battle the inevitable corruption of his culture, which intrinsically is always dead as it's inherited from the ancestors. But in continually mediating between these poles, the hero revivifies his culture, or in other words, he saves his father from the belly of the whale, time and time again. In doing this, in some weird way, he embodies the logos, the articulated truth, and moves up the hierarchy of his society simultaneously. This ascension can be symbolized by the climb of, for example, a mountain or a tree. In the movie, Brendan is challenged to climb the king of the forest, the tree of the Druids, a giant ancient oak. Having reached the top, he gains perspective on all that lies lower and also learns the name of his new friend from the forest, a spunky fairy named Aisling. Aisling is some sort of spirit creature who can communicate with plants and animals, she can shapeshift and can perform other kinds of magic as well. Her appearance is kind of like that of a heavenly vision in a dream, that of an angel. This climb of Brendan is nothing short of a shamanic journey between the worlds, bridged by the world tree or axis mundi, the center of the cosmos and unbreakable bond of all influences. Thus, he connects with the spirits or spirit world, as a shaman does. When Brendan is locked in the tower, it's Aisling that saves him with her magic. I think this means, at least in part, that, as Terence McKenna used to say, nature loves courage. And that if you're oriented properly in the world and you show bravery and dignity, nature will remove obstacles for you and help you in realizing your pure wish or dream or vision, for you work in some sense in accordance with it. This is what it means when they say that shamans sing or speak the world into being. Aisling represents the positive archetypal element of nature. Krumkruk is the archetypal chaos dragon, in possession of a treasure of prodigious value. It lives underground and underwater in an ancient megalith or tomb. When Brendan decides to challenge this monster in search of its crystal eye, out of the depths of his unconscious, immediately images begin to well up in an attempt to compose an idea of what terrible things might populate the chaotic darkness of this unknown realm. To defeat it, he must unleash his imagination and look it straight in the eye to pull that thing out, blinding it and rendering it self-devouring, like an Ouroboros. This way he lights up the darkness and wins over the arcane treasure. The integration of this new mean has to be through visionary creativity, and even then judiciously for the most intricate and significant elements of this process. According to Brendan's mentor, Aidan, who is a master illuminator. Aidan decided to take Brendan as a pupil and as a successor in hope that he could finish the much venerated Book of Iona, once upon a time started by the legendary column Kill. The book is to be a light in the dark times that have been upon them. Civilization is continually threatened by vicious Viking raids. These Vikings are a crooked, evil, devouring and greedy people from the obscure periphery, out only for mayhem and gold. They are the archetypal tyrannical element of culture, the tyrannical king. Often emphasis is laid in the movie on the demonic appearance of their shadows and their association with raven and consumptive fire. Kellach, Abbot of Kells, has in his genuine anxiousness for an inevitable confrontation with the Vikings become obsessed with building a wall around Kells, but has thus lost sight of the present, of freedom and of beauty, things that do truly matter. He is an honorable, responsible, wise king but willfully blind, and embodies elements of the tyrannical aspect of culture. He fails to see how his excessive care and overprotectiveness are stunting the development of Brendan's personality. Aidan doesn't believe in Kellach's wall, but does see great potential in Brendan. He is also wise and willfully blind, but not tyrannical in any manner. Kells is eventually raided. The Vikings murder and spread mayhem all around. Kellach, in his resentment with Brendan and Aidan's defying adventures, has locked them in the scriptorium. Kellach is almost killed. Kells has been defeated, and only those that got into the tower in time survived. Brendan and Aidan make a narrow escape but are captured in the forest and threaten to be killed. Aisling arrives just in time to save their lives. And the book. They must flee, and for years they are gone. Having built up a humble life somewhere far away, Brendan continues his apprenticeship. Meanwhile, Kellach nears the end of his life, with the only comfort he still has being Brendan's piece of illumination he angrily ripped out and took right before the Vikings attacked. He deeply regrets doing this. Brendan and Aidan finish the book, now reinvented as the Book of Kells, and commence spreading the word. Aidan eventually dies, peacefully, after which Brendan returns to Kells to give new hope to the people, to lighten their burdens and kindle a candle in these dark times. Logos brings together, as truth does, and as true love does. In it, things come together. It's the web that links everything up and simultaneously transcends it. It's the eternal present in every moment, the infinite encompassed in every place, the divine in the individual. It's the thing that turns darkness into light, the source of hope, of truth, of love. It's what gives us vision and realizes our potential. We all carry this light in us. It's up to us to make it shine bright. So, ultimately there is no closure. The movie has an open ending. And though hopeful, I think a question is posed. And I think that question is, what word or world will you make flesh? Hell or heaven? Thank you for watching.